I was a member of the National Dialogue Committee, NADCO, a committee that was constituted following very vicious clashes on the streets of Kenya, in all our major urban centers. Clashes that were revolving around the matter of the high cost of living, principally, but also arising from the disputes about the 2022 elections. So we didn't go to the table because there was some strange and new love between us and Kenya Kwanza. I'm now talking as Azimio. And you know, when I speak as Azimio, I am speaking on behalf of the Azimio parliamentary group, which I lead in the National Assembly. Those talks did not happen because all of a sudden we became lovers, Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. No. Those talks were initiated to restore calm and order in the country, because otherwise the country was teetering on a precipice. The country was basically veering towards lawlessness and the total collapse of governance. And the terms of reference of those of that committee were so clear. Now understand that some people are pushing for the reconstitution of the IEBC through an IEBC selection panel that is now, for all intents and purposes, moribund. And our point is this, in summary, really. Any attempt to reconstitute the IEBC outside the framework that has been established by NADCO will be totally resisted. And if they go ahead and reconstitute the IEBC outside the NADCO framework, then that will only be an IEBC for Kenya Kwanza. It will not be an IEBC for Kenya. And we shall not recognize it. And the consequences of us not recognizing it are too obvious for one not to know. We understand that there are hardliners who don't really care much where this country plunges into chaos or not. But let me caution them. Let me caution them that as Azimio, we are ready. Indeed, we have always been ready. We only gave peace a chance by engaging in dialogue. If you proceed to reconstitute the IEBC outside NADCO, that will be the end of NADCO and anything else to do with it, including those other proposals that are in that report. Then we shall be back to square one, and nature shall take its course. So anybody who means well for this country must be careful, and shun any temptation to re-establish the IEBC outside the NADCO process. As a matter of fact, Parliament is reconvening next week on Tuesday, 13th. We expect that the NADCO report is going to form or to be the priority agenda for the two houses of Parliament. Secondly, and finally on that issue, the IEBC Secretariat should stop needless engagement with the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of National Assembly on matters which have been adequately addressed by NADCO. And no constitutional amendment will see the light of the day in Parliament unless there are those amendments that have been recommended by NADCO. And again, the IEBC Secretariat must be reminded that the courts have pronounced themselves on this matter many times. An independent commission is only fully constituted if it has got commissioners. As things stand, the IEBC is not constituted legally and constitutionally. So the Secretariat of IEBC should stop wasting their time purporting to seek advisory opinion from the Attorney General on whether they can proceed and supervise elections and by elections or not. That is impossible. Let them hold their horses and wait for the reconstitution of the IEBC through the NADCO roadmap.
Having gone through the election as a candidate and as a defender of justice in all the courts in the Republic of Kenya and in the Supreme Court, and as somebody who has taken part in negotiations for transformation from one constitutional order to another, at a personal level, now I'm talking at a personal level, there are those you can negotiate with, but there are some people who ab initio you should not even attempt to negotiate with them. You should not even attempt to negotiate with them. Me, I think we should just go back to the drawing board. Because if President Ruto could not work with Uhuru Kenyatta, if he could not work with Uhuru Kenyatta, when they were inside government, all of them were inside government. And every day since the elections were held, all the things that were done during the 10 years of Jubilee government, Ruto has every time disassociated himself from what happened at a time when he was the deputy president. I mean the vice president or deputy president. Everything that happened when he was the principal assistant of the president of the Republic of Kenya, all that, including the running of the economy. And he has brought another political clown called Gachagua, who every day are telling you that, when they took over power, there was nothing in the treasury. When they were in the treasury, when they were running government. And they are going back on their word to say they had nothing to do with that. So negotiating with Ruto is a very difficult task. It's a very difficult task. When you're talking to a stone, you cannot negotiate. The only way you can negotiate with a stone is to crack it. Is to crack it. Is to crack it. Even attempting to try and talk to Ruto, we may go on into 2027 without any solution. Me, I gave up on him a long time. And I was telling people when working the principal secretary and everybody was there in Bondo, I told them, I know Ruto more than they know Ruto. I know him. I know when he can make a deal and when he cannot make a deal. So all this idea about making Kenya a better society, having a democratic space, all that is not even music to him. It's just a waste of time. Just a waste of time. So, right now, if you look at what is happening in the country, the state called Kenya is dysfunctional. Completely dysfunctional. Counties are not getting their monies as provided under the Constitution. We're not getting it. And it's not just to Azimio counties, the chairman of the Council of Governors is from Kirinyaga, is from that party. And you could hear the statement she was making the other week, that even 450 billion shillings, which is less than 10% of a national budget, which is more than 3 trillion, they cannot be able to send that money. So even in education, when Ruto says that there's going to be money coming to the schools, that's a big lie. And Wandayi, you're right. I mean, a liar should have a good memory. If you want to be a good liar, you should have a good memory. Unfortunately, President Ruto does not have a good memory. He tells a lie today and he forgets that he lied yesterday and tells you another lie. So, Kenya has become, as a democracy, dysfunctional. As an economy, we are doing very badly. Investment flows that used to come to this country, a lot of them are now being diverted because of the business climate and economic climate we have in Kenya. Some of them are going to Tanzania, some of them are going to Uganda, even Angola in terms of investment flows, if you look at it critically, because Kenya is slowly becoming a country which is not attractive to investment. So I believe, and with all the things that have been said here about IEBC, how would you want a good IEBC if you know an IEBC that works according to your script can make you win an election? Ruto knows that he will not win the next election. So he will not form an IEBC in another image. He'll form an IEBC in his image. And that's why he wants even Chebukati to be the Chief Justice of Kenya. He wants a court in his image. In the Commission for Revenue Allocation, which determines how much money comes to the counties and how much money goes to the national government, Mrs. Chebukati is the commissioner. I mean, it has escaped us. It has escaped us. Such an important, independent commission. The chair, and I'm saying this knowing the full consequences of what I'm saying. I know somebody who may want to sue me, but I'm prepared. I'm prepared to be sued. It is not for nothing that Mrs. Chebukati was chosen as the chairman of the Commission for Revenue Allocation. She cannot defend even the rights of the counties. And it is not for nothing that we hear people in Kenya Kwanza saying that Chebukati has a right to be Chief Justice. After all that happened in the previous elections. So I think the way now is for us to decide.